I was finishing my doctoral work at Ohio University, and I picked up an instructor position at Otterbein College. So the coach at the time at Otterbein College was John Ludlam. And John Ludlam said, I've already arranged for your order of instruction in Pi Kappa Delta. And I said, what does that mean? He says, that means you get a membership card and a pin, and you become part of Pi Kappa Delta. And I said, what does that mean? And he explained to me the history of the organization. Otterbein College is one of the oldest chapters, has a long, strong tradition of Pi Kappa Delta. That's the first time I'd ever heard of it. I went in undergraduate school, I went to Miami of Ohio. And I remember my coach bringing me in and saying, you're eligible for DSR TKA. And I said, what's that? And he said, it's the National Honorary for Forensics. And I said, what's that mean? He said, you can put it on your resume. And I said, how much is it going to cost me? And he said, nothing, we will pay for it. And I never completed it. I never completed my membership. I switched from working with debate to working with theater, and that was a whole different environment. So although my undergraduate institution was not Pi Cap, I met Pi Cap as an instructor, not as a competitor. Otterbein College is one of the oldest chapters. I think they may be Alpha chapter of Ohio, but I wouldn't swear to that. Susan Millsap, who is the current director of forensics there, could tell you more about that. And the fellow who was actually before John Ludlam, Jim Grissinger, is in our Hall of Fame for Pi Kappa Delta. Okay. So I actually shared an office space with Jim Grissinger. He was on retirement, so he was only working a couple of classes a semester. So he had moved out of his big office to allow the new head of the department to have it. And he and I were sharing a space, and it was a basement area. So I'm the new instructor, and he's the outgoing senior professor. And we shared a lot of stories in that office. And one of the stories I heard over and over was the Pi Cap story. So Gris was my Pi Cap mentor. John Ludlam was the reason I became a Pi Cap member. Okay. 1985, and one of the things that happened as a result of my involvement in Ohio, I became lieutenant governor for the province of the Lakes with John's blessing and encouragement as I moved into my new position at Hope College. Found out that the governor of the province of the Lakes was not functioning in her role, so the lieutenant governor, as vice presidents and lieutenants tend to do, took over. So I began working with the national level of Pi Cap as a lieutenant governor in my first teaching position in college in 1987. One of the beautiful things I think about Pi Cap is that there's a core historic root that hasn't changed. One of the things I love about Pi Cap is the celebration at this tournament of what it is we do without being so competitive that we're against each other. We're really all sharing the fun of competing. We reward so many people the opportunities to bring a student to the national tournament and go home with some hardware is incredible. I hope we never lose that. I hope we still have that sense that this is, everyone gets to play. If you're on the squad, you come. You don't have to pre-qualify to get here. And once you're here, you have as much opportunity to be rewarded as the guy next to you who goes to twice as many tournaments a year as you do. There are going to be changes because of finances, the integration with National Forensic League, bringing in the high school students into Pi Cap. This is a new century. As we celebrate our 100 years of existence, we are embarking on a very new and exciting course. My hope is that in the effort to move forward into our new relationships, to redefine ourselves for the 21st century, we don't lose track of where we came from and what our core values are. But it's a good time to remind ourselves what those core values are as we look forward to the new adventure. There are so many, and it's difficult to say favorite memories. I have to say that during my tenure as president, I was so proud to be able to bring the National Convention and Tournament to my backyard. When we hosted in Mount Pleasant at Central Michigan University, that's 45 minutes away from Ferris State. We think of ourselves as Pi Cap sister schools. And I explained to Ed Hink when he took the bid, I will do whatever Ferris can do to help you. You're not in this alone. But Ferris can't host. You're in a better place to host than I am. So my favorite memory about that event was sitting in the judges' lounge at an Eastern Michigan tournament talking to Ed Hink, and he mentioned that he was thinking about bidding for an NFA national location or site. I said, Ed, why don't you try cutting your teeth on a Pi Cap Nationals, and then you'll know how your infrastructure works for hosting a major event. And he bid, and he took it. Of course, I didn't tell him that the side part of a Pi Cap National event is more than just a tournament. There's the convention that goes with, the formal awards banquet that goes with. And I think by the time we finished our stint in 2007 at Mount Pleasant, Ed was about ready to kill me. I was proud. I went through the struggle with him. I shared that experience with him. So that's one of my fond memories of this activity. Being able to travel to different parts of the country with students and experience the different kind of speaking styles, judges' preferences. I remember the tournament in Tacoma fondly because I had 3 students, 2 seniors and a freshman, and they had come off an extremely strong season. Pi Cap was our national event. The 2 senior men had gone to the novice tournament in the state of Michigan because they were eligible. They had only competed that year as seniors. And they had taken the novice sweepstakes. The 2 of them, with 9 slots, won novice sweepstakes in the state of Michigan. Understand that we have some very strong schools in the state of Michigan. So we came to Tacoma ready to do some serious work.
Yeah.
One of my men was rewarded. The other was shut out. And he was the state novice champion. And he was shut out at Pi Cap. This is the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. But being able to work through that experience with those 2 men at the stages in their careers where they were in such a beautiful setting, fell in love with University of Puget Sound.
Oh, yeah.
It was just gorgeous. We took a Saturday afternoon when we had debate rounds and we were not involved in debate. Drove up Mount Rainier as far as we could go before we figured we had to turn around and come back because we hadn't gotten to the top of it yet, but we had to get back for the banquet. Fond memories like that. Being able to travel and see things and experience with my students all over again the joy of competition. Well, first I have to frame that with I don't think of Pi Kappa Delta as a debate organization. Debate is one of an array of every competitive event you can think of that Pi Kappa Delta hosts.
Okay.
We are a comprehensive tournament in all senses of the word. If there's a competitive event out there that a region likes, we'll offer them the opportunity to bring it to the national tournament.
Okay.
So sometimes those of us who aren't in that region get to experience a new event for us that others have been competing all season long. Debate and individual events operate as 2 tiers, and we arrange it so students can do both, because our philosophy is that competitive speaking should not be relegated to just one camp. The debaters should experience public address, and interpreters probably ought to try discussion, that there ought to be a crossover of the oral skills that we're developing, not a niching, not a specialty kind of thing. So we open the tournament up for the students who are interested to compete as many different events as they can fit in within the time frame and experiment. They don't have to have broken the event at a previous tournament. The debate teams don't have to have won so many tournaments to be eligible to compete. Everybody gets to play. I think that is the uniqueness of Pi Kappa Delta. If I look at all the other national forensic organizations, they're specifically targeted niche organizational events. If you're in Parley, you go to MPDA. If you're in LD, you go to NFA. And those niches have their place. But in Pi Cap, they're all part of the constellation. They're not single stars. My favorite aspect of the Pi Kappa Delta national convention and tournament is that it is a national convention and tournament. No place else do you get the sense of an organizational presence, that there are business meetings, that there are officers being elected. You go to the competition, you get your schedule, you do your rounds, you go out to eat with your team, you come back the next day and you do your rounds, and you really have no sense that there's an organization that puts all this together. That's what I love about PICAP. There's a constant sense of presence of the organization here. I mean, students can come and compete and leave and not get that, but it's almost like how do they not drink the water? It's all around them. They're swimming in it.
Yeah.
There are those of us walking around all over the place with badges that say what our offices were. That's unique. You don't see that at any other tournament. People don't go around with name tags saying where they're from. At other tournaments, it's almost a mystique to hide where you're from if you're going to a place out of your normal travel pattern, because schools do develop reputations. Judges are influenced by reputations. Here, we put it all out front. We say, that moots out. Everybody's known. Everybody's public. Everybody knows where you're from because you're wearing it. That breaks down that competitive, niche-y, mystique-y school rep thing and says, hey, you're competing, I'm competing, let's have fun. I know students on my team have a tendency to gravitate, because they're social, they have a tendency to gravitate together with other students in their events. After a round, they get to talking about what are things like at your school. And the next thing I know, we're sitting at awards, and I can't tell my students from the other school students because they're all sitting together. It's not like this particular school always sits in this place in the awards assembly in a block, and nobody better sit around them. We've been there, and we know how that kind of thing works. It's never happened for my team at PICAP. They've got buddies from other schools when they leave this tournament that they want to keep in touch with. And now with email and Facebook and all that kind of stuff, they can. And that's the beauty of it.